So it's been just about 2 weeks since Recall 257 was released, which encompasses most new EVs from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. So I already put out a video about that when it was released, and if you're interested in getting into some of those more details, check out that video linked below. But since that video went live, some new information has been shed. Hyundai has released a bunch of information in regard to NHTSA's investigation into the matter, and I want to talk about that. So today, April 2nd, while I am shooting this video, I had gone to my local dealership, Key Hyundai of Manchester, Connecticut, and I had Recall 257 installed on my vehicle. The update did only take a little more than an hour, so really no big deal. I know many of you have already been out there getting the update done. Some of you did it over a week ago. And that's good because the sooner we can get people in and getting this taken care of, it is going to make it a little bit easier for those people down the line to get the recall scheduled when the letters go out through the mail. Now, I did only drive about 5 miles after the update, so I haven't done a whole lot of testing, but it did seem like in normal mode that the throttle was just a little bit less responsive after the update, but it's still plenty responsive. So the first one we're going to take a look at is basically a timeline of when they first started hearing about ICCU issues all the way to when they announced the official recall. So going back as far as October of 2022, Hyundai did start examining ICCUs that were returned under warranty claim. And they noted that there was heat damage on the low voltage converter field effect transistors, or FETs, of the ICCU assemblies equipped in certain Hyundai and Genesis electric vehicles. In January 2023, Hyundai began investigating what modes might be causing these failures. Then in April of 2023, Hyundai was notified by one of NHTSA's office that people were reporting loss of motive power or the ability to drive their Ioniq 5s. And at that point, that is when NHTSA kind of steps in and says, this could be a safety issue if people's cars are getting stranded in the road, they can't get over to the side of the road, could cause an accident. So at this point in the investigation, NHTSA is really trying to make sure that the car is going to have time to safely get off of the road. Hyundai did a bunch of tests in May of 2023. Hyundai determined that there would be about 22 minutes of driving ability after the ICCU began faulting out. And then progressive warnings would come on telling the user that they have to get off the road. And then progressive warnings would come on telling the user that they have to get off the road. But they did note that this time would be affected by vehicle accessories, ambient conditions such as temperature and humidity, and road driving conditions such as curvatures and inclines. So last July, Hyundai then released service campaign SC997 to address the subject condition in affected Hyundai electric vehicles in the US market. So I think this is a typo here. Then they say July 28th, 2024, but I think they mean 2023. Anyway, they performed a second test at their high-speed proving ground. They used a production test vehicle with multiple accessories activated, and this resulted in 11 minutes of full motive power and 33 minutes of total vehicle operation. September of 2023, Genesis's TSB got put out to update ICCUs in their car. In Michigan, they conducted more testing and they found 10 minutes of full motive power and approximately 21 to 26 minutes of total vehicle operation, leading up to a complete vehicle stall. But this test was also performed as a worst case scenario. So fast forward to March of this year, I guess the investigation kind of concluded, and it was determined that this was a sufficient amount of time for safety purposes, and they have acknowledged that there have been no reported crashes due to a failing ICCU. So finally, at the end of this report, we see this final number, which is there have been 618 unique incidents in the US from reports beginning March 8th, 2022 through March 5th, 2024. Now, according to another document here by Hyundai, they are estimating that between Hyundai and Genesis, 98,878 vehicles have been sold in the United States that could be potentially affected by the ICCU failure, and 618 of almost 100,000 is less than 1%. Now, as somebody who just is involved in this community on a daily basis, I just get the sense it is higher than 1%. I just see the sheer number of people that are getting them, and maybe it's just because they are the vocal minority, but it seems to me like it's way more than 1%, but who am I to say? I don't have that data. So here on this safety recall report for Hyundai, they say 69,316 Ioniq 5s, 18,017 Ioniq 6, 6,700 Genesis GV60, 3,083 Genesis GV70, 753 electrified G80. Now, over on the Kia side of things, They are estimating 48,232 EV6s are going to be affected in the United States, but with still a less than 1% defect rate. And that affects EV6 manufactured between November 17th, 2021 and February 7th of 2024. Now, something that I mentioned in the previous video is that I thought that Kia EV9 would be involved in this recall, but apparently it's not. There is no sign that EV9 is affected by the ICCU issue. Now, because they have been investigating it for upwards of 2 years now, it's likely that they just had time to resolve these issues before it went on sale last summer. And now down here at the bottom in the description of the defect, the subject vehicles are equipped with an ICCU, which charges the vehicle's 12-volt auxiliary battery and powers low-voltage vehicle accessory equipment. The ICCU may be subject to certain electrical load conditions that can damage internal components, those are the FETs. An open ICCU fuse results in an inability to charge the 12-volt auxiliary battery. Upon fault detection and accompanied by a series of driver warnings, the vehicle will enter a design-intended fail-safe driving mode that allows immediate full propulsion while gradually reducing motive power over an extended time period. Vehicle systems such as airbags, braking, and powered steering remain operational. So this software update that they're going to install on your car should hopefully just completely eliminate these dead 12-volt batteries that all the owners of these vehicles have been experiencing for over 2 years now. So some further information from someone at Hyundai. They tell me that the overcurrent failures of these components in the ICCU are caused mostly when the vehicle is at a low state of charge and the vehicle is in motion, and mostly when the vehicle is regenning. So when it is using the motors themselves to regenerate electricity and store that back into the battery pack as the car is slowing down. And in tandem with a sudden loss of traction. This could be something that I have personally experienced with my car. So when I'm driving on the highway, I typically put my car into level 0 so that when I engage and disengage highway drive assist, it's not lurching if I don't have my feet on the pedals. It's just going to coast after I disable the system. Now, when I get to the off-ramp from the highway, I will begin slowly dialing in a little bit more regen. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and then eventually I pedal when I want to come to a complete stop. Now, in that process of going down from 0 to I pedal, I do kind of feel this surging feeling sometimes. Maybe that's the wheels losing traction and kind of what they're telling me here. So maybe that is causing overcurrent issues with my ICCU, even though I haven't had a full-on failure yet. So this spike in voltage is causing heat damage to the components of the ICCU. So with this software update, they're telling me that it has been revised and it updates some logic to the way that the coolant pump is running or cycling for the ICCU. The ICCU does need coolant because it gets hot, because it has high current running through it. But once these overheating and overcurrent conditions are happening in your ICCU, the thermal damage is done. So it can't be reversed by an update. If the ICCU is already damaged due to some of these issues, it's just going to stay that way. And after this update, it might not get worse, but it's possible that they could find at the time of inspection that maybe the ICCU does have some of those trouble codes that mean that it needs to be replaced. Now, they go on to tell me that the new updated ICCU that's not going to be replaced in your existing car, but will be coming to a future Hyundai Kia Genesis EV is going to be built to outlive the vehicle itself. So that's great news. Hopefully, if it comes down to it, if there's still ICCU failures in the future, maybe they can put in one of these refreshed ICCUs into old Ioniq 5 or 6 or whatever. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to share this update with new information about the ICCU recall. Go out and get it installed if you haven't already. This is very important. Hyundai has a lot of data saying that your ICCU is susceptible to failure if you don't have proper cooling that is only going to be resolved by this software update. But if you guys appreciate these videos that I'm doing and you'd like to support the channel further, there's a few ways you can do that. You can visit my store at ioniqguy.com and purchase any of the accessories that I manufacture and design myself. I've got some really cool stuff for Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, Kia EV6, Genesis GV60, and Kona Electric. You can also purchase some cool merch that I designed myself. You can see these are the pixel charging lights of the Ioniq 5 in kind of a 3D design. You can become a channel member for $3 per month and you can see all my videos ahead of time before they're released to the general public. You can buy me a beer at the link below, or you can simply give this video a thumbs up. Those always help me out big time as well. But anyway, guys, again, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.